What's going on, guys and girls? It's GhostRobo, and welcome to another new generation of Nintendo handheld hardware. I present to you the new Nintendo 3DS XL in all of its shiny, tiny, boxed up glory. We're going to open it up, take a look, and compare it to pretty much every other 3DS in existence. Straight away, I'll tell you that I've been surprised and impressed with the improvements and changes in this system. A quick note for subscribers, a bunch of you have asked what happened to Mario Mondays, and I think I'm going to transform that into Nintendo Mondays. If that's something you want to see on a weekly basis, sort of like this video covering something cool and fun, just hit that like button. If we get a couple thousand of those, then I'll definitely make that a weekly reality. Let's open it up and see what's inside. There's not a whole lot inside because they've taken the Japanese approach this time around and removed the charger. They trust that either you have one from a past 3DS or that you're okay with buying one from Amazon, Target, GameStop, wherever. Pamphlets and AR cards, as we've come to expect. And the only other thing in this box is the system itself. Now we'll open it up and you shall see that it's shiny, reflecting light everywhere. It's almost as glossy, or maybe even more so, than the OG 3DS, but once you open it up, you'll see it is new and improved. Now, straight away, you'll see it's on. I've been playing it for a few hours, so I could give you guys the lowdown on what has changed and what I think of it. If we compare it to a regular 3DS XL, you won't really notice a whole lot of differences, except on this side of the console or the system. You'll see colored buttons, as well as a C-stick. Now up top, let's not forget we have an additional ZL and a ZR bumper up here. What those will be used for, I don't know. Now it's also got improved processing power, the promise of exclusive games, and possibly coolest of all, enhanced 3D. We'll get to that in a second. But this C-stick here, I actually really like it. Now, is it the greatest second stick ever created? Absolutely not. It feels more like an eraser or one of those weird old buttons in the middle of a laptop trackpad. It doesn't move a whole lot. You're more swiping than you really are actually getting feedback or pushing the stick, but it helps. Like when you're playing Majora's Mask, having complete camera control with the second stick is definitely worthwhile, and I like it better being on board rather than clunking on that additional Circle Pad Pro. Now let's talk about that upgraded 3D, because I find it really darn impressive. I was one of those people that a couple weeks after the original 3DS came out, I flipped the switch all the way off. The eye strain, the struggle just wasn't worth it. I would check out a new game, see how it looked in 3D, and then whoop, off it went. Because you gotta get your eyes in this weird sort of focus zone, and if you adjusted them, or moved the system, or got distracted, it threw everything kind of out of focus, and you have to re-zero back in, and it just bugged the heck out of my eyes. Now though, that has all been wiped away. You can just naturally look at the system, you can move your head, you can turn the system a bit, and it all maintains its beautiful depth perception effect. Is it the, revolution we've been waiting for? No, but it's definitely an evolution of what was originally supposed to be one of this system's coolest features, and it has made Majora's Mask a lot more fun. I gotta say, playing in 3D for hours at a time has definitely impressed me, because it's something I definitely could not have done previously on any of the older 3DS systems. I was good for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then I would shut it off in fear of eye strain. Here though, I left it on, and it gives like that little extra edge that makes the 3DS pretty darn special. Now, I haven't played Xenoblade 3D, and there haven't been any other games announced that will take advantage of the exclusive processing power, so that kind of is TBD right now, but the 3D is where it's at. The C-stick is pretty nice, and while you can't play Majora's Mask on any old 3DS, I like taking advantage of some of the upgrades features. Being able to control the camera with the second stick has been great. Seeing Link and the mask in kind of that cool 3D look definitely improves the visual experience, and of course the XL screens are as nice as they've ever been. It's kind of impressive to take a look at the first 3DS in comparison to the newest 3DS and see how far it's come. They like to iterate on their systems, and I think they've done a pretty good job at really nailing down the form factor, the 3D, the second stick, the buttons, all of it. I would rather there be a full-on second stick, but as you can see, there's just no space for it on this system. The size difference here is super noticeable, just like with any 3DS XL versus a regular, but what's interesting is to compare the new 3DS from Japan to the new 3DS XL. Now, this is the guy that we don't get here in America. It's a slightly bigger version of the regular 3DS, and it has the coolest feature that I'm so sad we're not getting, which is faceplates. Princess Peach looking upside down because she's totally confused as to why we don't get these guys here in America. I wish they included them either for the XL or we had the option to buy sort of the regular size, because it's an upgraded size. It's totally not the exact same as the first 3DS. You'll see there's a little bit size difference there. Not a ton, but it does make this a more lucrative purchase than the first 3DS without going into full-on XL territory. We aren't getting this one in America. This is a Japanese console, and Princess Peach cries tears of sadness that we don't get to put her face on my new system. Now the question becomes, is this worth a full-on $200 upgrade when it slides into stores later this week? It is $200, coming in at the same price point as the current 3DS XL, and I'm not quite sure you really need to shell out all of that just to upgrade. Now, if you're coming from an original 3DS or no 3DS, then obviously go with the latest and greatest. This guy does have new features that I think are substantial. I've been impressed from the get-go with that enhanced 3D, with the C-Stick, and just all in all, they've really refined everything from the placement of the cartridges, the stylus, the volume. It's the best iteration of the 3DS. But if you've already got an XL, I don't know that it's worth $200 to remove a charger and add a few features. I would say stick with your XL until something else happens. Or until they announce a lot of exclusives. So far, it's Xenoblade, and that is it. I'm not sure how many there will be. It seems like it would be kind of silly for them to create an entire lineup of exclusives. At the same time, this system exists primarily because of the processing power and some of the additional buttons and features, so maybe there will be more games that take advantage of it. Stuff like the Codename Steam demo is a lot better here because you're using that second stick to control the camera. It's fine to move cameras with buttons and touch screens, but I like having an onboard second stick to get the job done a little bit more efficiently. I'll be honest with you, I kind of wish that this Japanese system released over here in America, because I kind of do like the medium size. It fits in between the XL and the regular, and it might be just perfect for me. I've got smaller hands, I like keeping it in my pocket, and it still has slightly bigger screens, plus faceplates. Did I mention faceplates? I really like faceplates. I'm a huge fan of like the limited edition 3DSs and stuff like that, and I'm sad that I can't just swoop in and put on like a Zelda faceplate, a Mario faceplate, Rosalina. They could do a lot with those, and maybe we'll get them in the future, but it kind of stinks that it's not here at launch. The system does fingerprint up a good bit if that bugs you, as opposed to something like this matte Pikachu over here, the glossy. You are getting your your hands on there. Hopefully they're not too grubby or grimy. Wash them and it should be okay. It's a little bit slippery, which is odd because I have been playing this one for the past couple of years, and it has a little bit better grip. The only other change that's worth noting is they switched to micro SD cards, which doesn't really impact me in any way, but it's something to note. You won't be switching your memory cards from past 3DS to the new 3DS. And remember the transfer process. You're able to transfer one system to the system in terms of your downloadable games, your save files. For me, with multiple 3DSs, it becomes kind of a headache. I wish there was one unified way to keep all of my systems under the same ID and have every download accessible on every platform that bears my username. But alas, that's not how it works. The load times are confirmed to be faster for stuff like booting a game, and maybe even within games. I'm not 100% sure of that. Plus, this does have the coveted amiibo support for whatever games end up using that. You stick this thing straight on the screen and you've got that NFC technology running through Bowser's veins. It's been confirmed for Codename Steam and probably a lot of other games in the future as well. Iterative video game hardware is an interesting idea, and while many consumers may not be a fan of a new handheld every couple of years, I kind of like the idea that we get the best version of 3D, the best version of the 3DS here in 2015, rather than waiting for Nintendo's next full-blown handheld in 16, 17, or 18. Now, it's totally up to you if you want to dish out the $200 for this system. I think it could go either way. A hardcore Nintendo fan, a hardcore handheld player would probably be pretty happy with the upgrades that have been put inside this tiny package. But on the other hand, an average handheld player, somebody who isn't so sold on what Nintendo has to offer, may feel like $200 is a bit steep just for some surface level improvements. Now, if there ends up being a handful of really good exclusives that take advantage of what lies beneath the surface of this system, that improved processing power, graphics, and 3D, then that $200 becomes a lot easier to swallow. Me personally, I'm happy with what they've done here, and if I had a chance to test out the system before I bought it, I think the improved 3D and some of the extra features would push me over the edge. Keep in mind, though, that I'm a hardcore Nintendo fan. I have been since I was 4 years old. I was super eager to play Majora's Mask. I wanted to test out the improved 3D, and I kind of always get the latest handheld, even if I don't use it all that often. 4 3DSs later, the newest iteration is definitely the best, and it's cool to see 3D become what it probably should have been all along, a great glasses-free experiment. That is something super cool. Even if it doesn't set the games totally apart, it's a nice added perk, and I love that it comes without the eye strain this time around. Wrapping things up, I think this is the best 3DS to date. I still wish we had faceplates, and maybe we'll get them in some way or another, whether it's for the XL, they'll eventually release the regular new 3DS, or however they plan on getting them here, but I sure hope they do. Other than that, the improved 3D, the faster processing power, the C-Stick, the improved buttons, the form factor reaching near perfection. I gotta say, I've been impressed with the new 3DS. It's happily returned me to handheld gaming, and Majora's Mask, aside from the system, is fantastic. I love the art direction in that game, the creativity, and it's one that I didn't have a chance to play back on N64, so it feels like a new Zelda adventure to me as I eagerly anticipate and wait for Zelda Wii U later this year. Fingers crossed that one really delivers. This guy delivers. I don't know if it's worth your $200. If you already have an XL, that's for you to decide, but it definitely is the best of the bunch. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Leave me a like. Let me know your thoughts on the new 3DS, and if you plan on picking one up, upgrading, or getting one for the first time, down in the comments below. Till that time, guys, girls, have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching. Drink some hot chocolate, and we will see you all later. I would kiss Peach, but she ain't got no lips.